What's up, guys? My name's Dean, or as most of you know me, Twisty, and it's time to wrap up the trade period. I'm going to go through a bunch of things. We've got Hawthorn and the Gold Coast Suns playing in the background. The Gold Coast and Hawthorn, depending on which way you look at it. It's a Metricon anyway, and because the Jager O'Meara deal did go through, I'm going to get to all that and more in a minute. So let's wrap up the trade period, starting with the free agents. We saw Hawthorn get Tyrone Vickery as a restricted free agent. Richmond got pick 27 back from that one. Then we had Daniel Wells and Chris Mayne join Collingwood, both unrestricted free agents, which meant that Collingwood did not get a compensation pick when Nathan Brown left to join St Kilda later on in the week. I can't remember if Freo got compo for Mayne, but Wells was a second round pick, I'm pretty sure. And maybe Mayne was as well for the compensation there. Now, let's take a look at the trades. There was a lot of trades on the final day. I'll kind of cover you with the big ones. We'll take a little bit of time on those, but everything else we'll kind of just brush over. So the first trade to get done was Cam McCarthy going to Fremantle. They got McCarthy, pick 7, pick 34, and pick 72 at the time, obviously. So it was a first round, second round, and fourth round pick, and GWS got pick 3 back in that trade there. So obviously they were trying to move up the draft order, and Fremantle, big win there, getting Cam McCarthy. Year out from the game, though, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Would be like a fresh start, pretty much, given he didn't have too much time in the AFL before. He's now trade back home to Fremantle. And then the Freo Dockers were on the ball as well a couple days later, where they got Bradley Hill from the Hawks for pick 23, which was a second round pick. So pretty good effort from the Dockers to start off the trade period. I think they were pretty inactive after that point, but they started the ball rolling. There's a pick exchange between Brisbane and the Gold Coast, or Brisbane and GWS. Saw the Giants get pick 2 and Brisbane get pick 3, so that's where they get in the draft order. The Giants then traded Jack Steele to St Kilda, so a big win for St Kilda there with Jack Steele for a future second rounder. So the Giants will get St Kilda's second rounder from next year. Sam Mitchell, big trade, went to the West Coast Eagles. I think I covered this last week, or maybe I didn't because it might have just happened at the time, but big trade there. Sam Mitchell to the West Coast. I don't think anyone saw that one coming. We did see Tom Mitchell go to Hawthorn, so they did alright, the Hawks, but despite losing Mitchell and then later on losing Jordan Lewis. But I think this is a big win for Hawthorn here. You get Tom Mitchell and pick 57, which is a third round selection, for, what do you get? Pick 14 and 52 is what they traded for that. That is insanely crazy to think that they managed to do that. So that they managed to get Tom Mitchell for pick 14. And then we thought, obviously, the O'Meara deal was going to go through when Hawthorn got pick 10 from the Saints. Obviously, St Kilda moving himself up in the draft order and getting Hawthorn's pick, first round pick for next year as well. So the Hawks pretty much gave up everything in this draft to get O'Meara's deal done. And St Kilda are in a very strong position. I think they probably had one of the better trade periods this year. GWS traded Paul Ahern to North Melbourne. So North Melbourne get a player there for pick 69. Like, I don't think there'll be many more than 69 players picked. Academy things will get put together. So normally it's about 70 players picked for the draft, and then everyone sort of passes, and anything that you trade after that really doesn't mean all that much. So that's pretty much where we're at here. The Gold Coast then had a big three-way trade with Port Adelaide and Brisbane. Pierce Hanley went to the Gold Coast. Port and Brisbane both got some picks out of that one. So Port Adelaide got the priority pick from Brisbane, which was pick 19, and a second round pick from Gold Coast. And Brisbane ended up receiving Port's future first rounder for that one. So the Gold Coast did pretty good in that trade there, to trade a couple of second rounds to either side and get Pierce Hanley back. So I think they'll be happy with that trade. Then another big trade was Jordan Lewis went to the D's, went to Melbourne for a third rounder and a fourth rounder. Like, Hawthorn, what are you doing? I mean, I get it. You messed up. You want to send your players to other clubs, but I mean, surely you get some sort of decent compensation back. We saw Hamlin go to Freo, Hibbard go to Essendon, Hibbard go to Melbourne. Dion Prestia. Then we get to the final day, or the second last day. No, this is the second last day, 19th now. So we had Prestia and Nankervis go to Richmond. The Swans got a 3rd round pick for Nankervis, and the Gold Coast got pick 6 and a 2017 2nd round pick. So they get Richmond's pick from next year, and Richmond got the Gold Coast's 2nd round pick, which was pick 24 back from that one, so an exchange in 2nd rounders, which is a pretty good trade-off for Richmond, I think, in that one, because a 2nd round pick's normally, unless you finish bottom 5, you're going to get a better pick than pick 24 next year. So you're obviously moving yourself up the draft order that way. Then we get to the final day's play, and this is where it just all went bonkers bananas. I'll try and go through these as quickly as possible. I won't do pick exchanges. I'll only really do players in this one. So Gold Coast got Jared Witts from Collingwood. Shane Curson went to Fremantle for a 4th rounder. Billy Smets went to Carlton as part of the Zach Tui trade to get him to Geelong. So a bit of a win for Geelong there, but then they lose Josh Caddy about half an hour later, who goes to Richmond for pick 24, an exchange of picks in the later end there. So really good win for Richmond there. I think in that instance. And then GWS, that's just a pick exchange. It's a pick exchange. Melbourne received Pat McKenna from GWS, as well as pick exchange. West Coast got Nathan Vardy from Geelong. Sort of been starved of real opportunity after a couple of injuries. Cloak went to the Dogs as expected. Essendon got James Stewart. I think he's going to be a very good player. For pick 77 in the draft for the Giants, they're probably just getting more academy points really at that stage. Geelong got Aaron Black from North Melbourne for pick 92. I mean, these picks aren't going to be used really. It's just like, here you go. Take him. Take him now. Then you've got Collingwood got Will Hoskin-Elliott for a future 2nd rounder. So that's not a bad trade there for the Pies. Jack Frost then went to Brisbane. Collingwood really started getting in the mix at this stage. Lyndon Dunn went to Collingwood. And then Marley Williams went to North Melbourne from the Pies. So they had a few trades there. And sort of ended off pretty well, I think, in the end. Getting a few good players. Same with North Melbourne. Getting Marley Williams in there as well. I think he's a real bonus for them at this stage. They really need some more run throughout the team. Marchbank and Pickett went to the Blues for and a future 2nd rounder for a 3rd round pick and a future 2017 1st round selection, which was Geelong's 1st round pick from next year that Carlton. So it went from Geelong to Carlton to GWS. And it gets interesting a little bit later on. GWS traded out Reece Palmer for pick 135. That's a useless pick. They're just giving him away now. Then Hawthorn got a 2nd rounder from 2017 from the Blues. Pretty much traded away the rest of their picks from this year's draft. And finally got Jaeger O'Meara for 1st round pick of pick 10 and a future 2nd rounder. So the Gold Coast Suns have 5 picks in that top 10. And then that future 2017 1st rounder from Geelong went to the Tigers. So they then gave Brett Deledio, of course, to the Greater Western Sydney Giants. And then the final trade with a player involved was Kobe Stevens going to the Saints. The Dogs getting pick 50 and a 2017 round 5 selection. So, oh my God, a lot of trades. Didn't even get to talk too much about each one individually, really, did I? Because of it was just crazy bonkers. But let me see if I can look at the draft order here, which is something I really want to look at, just so I can see, sort of where each club is going and what they're looking for, I guess. Anyway, but I think probably Hawthorn had not a great period. I mean, they got O'Meara done in the end, but I wouldn't be too impressed with how it went. Richmond, I think, did pretty well in the end, even though they lost Deledio and Vickery. They got back Caddy, Prestia, and Nankervis, so you get a tall back and you get 2 midfielders for the price of 1. That's a win for Richmond in my opinion anyway. The Crows didn't get Gibbs. They had a pretty slow trade period there, and I don't think any players went to the state of South Australia. So Port Adelaide didn't get anyone new either. Really going to be difficult for those two clubs to improve dramatically without any new players. Brisbane did okay. What else? Melbourne did very good. Chris Dawes just got delisted as well yesterday, so that was an interesting one. Collingwood did pretty good. Carlton always doing well now with Sauce there. There's just so much to cover. I don't think I've got the time to do it right now. Fremantle, Barlow's probably going to be a delisted free agent somewhere. There's going to be a big period now for the delisted free agents. I think there's like 4 or 5 delisted free agents right now. But let's quickly look at the indicative draft order and see who is doing really well in the first round and the second round. So the Gold Coast Suns, obviously Essendon got pick 1, GWS got up to pick 2 from pick, I think they'd pick 6 or pick 5 from Collingwood last year. So they got up to pick 2 with a few trades there. Brisbane at pick 3, obviously just can still get their academy player there. Then you've got Gold Coast have pick 4, pick 6, pick 8, pick 10 in that first round. So 4 top 10 players for the Gold Coast Suns. They are going to be getting some really quality talent in this draft period. The Swans have pick 9, Fremantle pick 7. I think they'll take... So teams that don't have a first round pick, Hawthorn, Richmond, Collingwood, looks like Adelaide do have one, Port have a couple, I'm sure there's more teams than that because Gold Coast have bloody 4 of them. So Melbourne I don't think have a first rounder, no they don't. North Melbourne do. St Kilda don't have a first rounder, but remember they're getting Jake Carlisle in as well, so I think St Kilda's probably done one of the best trade periods. The Gold Coast also very good. Richmond up there, and so were the D's. So I think they were probably the 4 clubs that stood out above the rest. Hawthorn probably had a yes and no stage, but I don't think it's good enough to get them to win the flag next year. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy today's video. I know it was really long and dragging out about the draft, and I tried to cover as much as I could, but it was really, really difficult. Much more difficult than I thought it would be. But, yeah. Let me know what you think your club did well, what they did poorly throughout this trade period, and what you're hoping for from your team next year. Remember, we got AFL Evolution announced, or not really announced, but leaked kind of on Thursday. I might make another video about that tomorrow, along with another Don Bradman video. I got the Don Bradman premiere this week. There's so much going on, and I'm gonna get to it. I'll be streaming again tonight, so if you want to come, you can have a look at that. But so much going on. Let's get stuck into it whenever we can and whenever we get an opportunity. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.